Hello, I'm Peter Towers, Managing Director of ESS Small Business and ESS BIZTOOLS. Welcome to this update on empowering small medium enterprises. Well, the big news at present is that crowdsourced funding legislation is finally in operation. I know some of you have worked very hard over many years to get the government of the day to realise that small medium enterprises needed more opportunities to be able to raise capital from the public, and that has now occurred. It will save you taking out extra loans, borrowing from your parents, your mother-in-law, your friends and relatives. You'll be able to raise up to $5 million every 12 months if you need to do that. Your business will be an unlisted public company, and the government has indicated that the upgrade from a proprietary limited company to an unlisted public company will be a painless affair, and it won't cost too much. But at this stage they haven't told us how much it's going to cost. But also, so that you're aware of what's happening, the government has released an exposure draft which has indicated that the government is seriously thinking about permitting a proprietary limited company to be able to utilise crowdsourced funding. Now, there's a lot more rules going to come into play if that occurs, but even if this legislation draft then becomes legislation and goes through the two houses of Parliament and then goes through a 6 months period before it becomes operational, which is what has happened with the current legislation, it will be March, April 2018 before any company will be able to raise money under a proprietary limited company. The current legislation starts on the 29th of September. So as long as you're happy to trade as an unlisted public company, and I don't really see any huge problems in doing that, you will be able to have your company details on a intermediaries platform by the 29th of September. Now, there's a bit of jargon I just mentioned, so I'm going to go back and try to summarise what all that means. First of all, your company has to have a turnover of less than $25 million, and it has to have gross assets of less than $25 million. But very importantly, your business could be any type of business, or any type of industry, or any age. There are no restrictions for crowdsourced funding. What you will need to do is to allocate some quality time. Sit down and think about your company's vision. Where do you want to go? What do you want to achieve? What's your plan for the next 3 years? What's your dream if you're the CEO of the business? And then you'll be ready to have a discussion with an accountant who is aware of crowdsourced funding, and that would normally be the accountants who have linked to us as being people who are committed to supplying business advisory services for small medium enterprises. And we can assist you to find those people by going to our website www.ESS-small-business and clicking on Find Accountant and then entering your postcode. You'll be able to find details of accountants and business advisors in or near your postcode who are committed to being able to supply crowdsourced funding services and other business advisory services to you. I mentioned an intermediary before. This is a business with a Australian Financial Services licence that the legislation has appointed these people as the gatekeepers for this legislation. They will check your crowdsourced funding offer document, which is a de facto prospectus, to make sure it complies with everything that is required. And then that intermediary will place your details onto their website. The legislation calls it their platform, and the public can then visit their site for a period of time of up to 3 months to view your documentation and to make a decision as to whether to subscribe. And if they wish to subscribe, they will be doing that direct with the intermediary. The intermediary will receive the payments for the shares from them, and when the offer closes, which can be for a maximum of 3 months or any lesser period that you select, then subject to the minimum subscription amount having been received, the intermediary will then pay to your bank account the proceeds of the share issue less the intermediary's pre-negotiated fee. The intermediary will run a communication facility during that 3-month period or whatever lesser time you've decided. Incidentally, I would always recommend that every company indicate that their listing is going to be for 3 months, so you can take maximum advantage of the period of time that's offered. But this is not all going to happen without some pre-planning. In fact, I think it's a 3 to 4 month exercise. So if you're interested in being one of the first companies in Australia to try to raise crowdsourced funding on the 29th of September or early into October, you need to get started now. So have a discussion with one of the accountants that you can identify from our site. And if you can't find someone or you've got some further questions, by all means send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au. And then the journey begins. You're going to need a market research document. What is your company's products? What can they be sold for? Where are they currently sold? What's the customer's testimonial say about your products or your services? Then a marketing plan can be produced. And then you move into the area where the accountant can be very valuable to you, because you're going to need a business plan, budgets, cash flow forecasts, normally looking at least a 3-year period. The company is going to have to be valued, because you need a basis for determination of how much capital you need to raise and what the share price is going to be pitched at. Then you're going to need an information memorandum, and then all that information has got to be assembled. There are some very specific questions contained in the CSF offer document that need to be answered. If you've got a director, officer or manager, or indeed the company itself, if it's any of those persons or the company have had any past problems with the Australian Security Investment Commission, that's probably going to have to be declared in the document, because the legislation asks a lot of questions. So you're best to be aware of that before you start talking to an intermediary. Once you give the final document back to the intermediary, he or she will check it, and if they are satisfied that you comply with the legislation and you are disclosing the sort of information that a potential investor is going to be interested in, you can then be assured that he or she will then place that document onto their website, and hopefully the public will then visit, read and subscribe. There's a whole lot of other things involved in this process. ESS Small Business has got full details of the process from a small medium enterprises point of view on our website, www.esssmallbusiness.com.au. There are some free articles there, and there are some articles we're asking you to pay a fee for. So please visit our site. The visit is free. There's a lot of other free information that you can have a look at while you're there. In June, we have a series of webinars. In fact, we've got 4 webinars targeted at small, medium enterprises. On Wednesday, the 7th of June at 3 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, we are going back and looking at early stage innovation companies, because these have been operational since July 2016. And they're great for young businesses with ideas, with new product, processes or services. And there's some great opportunities for investors with those companies. So please join us 7th of June, 3 p.m. AEST. To register, go to www.esssmallbusiness.com.au. On Wednesday the 14th of June at 5 p.m, crowdsource funding, getting ready for a 29 September start. This will be a webinar where we will take you through all parts of the process to raise capital as a crowdsource funding company. On Monday the 19th of June at 5 p.m, we have a webinar on one of our other pet subjects, and that's ridding Australia of the dubious title of having the longest debtors days outstanding in the world. Yes, Australia has got the longest debtors days outstanding in the world, according to a worldwide survey. So we're presenting that webinar Monday the 19th of June at 5 p.m. And on Tuesday the 27th of June at 5 p.m, our final webinar for the month of June, Chief Financial Officer Services, will help add value to your business. A good accountant is worth a lot of money to a lot of successful businesses. And this is what we're going to take you through so that you understand the role that your accountant can play to you to help you and your team as a Chief Financial Officer. So we look forward to you joining us for one or all of these free webinars during June. If you've got any question on crowdsource funding, which is obviously our theme for this talk to you today, please send us an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au. Thanks for listening. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.